Okay. All right, folks. We're in chapter 18. Chapter 18 begins a new section in Tanya, as we started yesterday. In one word, ma'od, very, very close. Our relationship to God is very close. How could it be so close? So the Alter Rebbe explains a new way that we can have a love and awe of God. Till now, we discussed about the mind, feeding the heart, having dominion over the heart, feeding the heart, informing the heart, giving it a understanding heart, if not capable of palpable feeling of love and awe, at least an informative heart, a understanding heart, an intellectual love that then brings us to do for God, to do a mitzvah, to connect to God through Torah mitzvahs. We're learning here is about the ava misuteris, the hidden love. It's not something we create. It's something that's a inheritance. It was given to us from our forebearers. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they merited because of their great subservience to God Almighty, completely nullified and completely connected to God, that through that their descendants, the Jewish people, would get this Jewish soul that's unique. And we started explaining it yesterday. And today we go further. What defines this soul that makes us Jewish? That it's something you cannot ever deny and something you cannot rid yourself of. Once you got it, it's there forever. Converts likewise have this, and we'll explain that concept too. So the Alter Rebbe explains, because it comes from Chachma. Chachma we translate as wisdom, but that's a very, what should I say, very nebulous kind of way to explain it. Chachma is beyond comprehension, yet it's the source of all comprehension and intellect. So it's beyond intellect, and yet the source of all of intellect. And we can see that in the very word. Chachma is koach ma, the power of what? It's the power, the faculty of the unknown, and yet the power of that unknown to be known. Therefore, it is capable, being that it is beyond intelligence, it's capable of the infinite nature of God, which is Ein Sof, that it should be the vessel to contain it, and therefore diffuse it into the rest of our being. As a result, only Chokhmah has that capability because it is divested of or beyond intellect. Bina, on the other hand, understanding, is me understanding. Like when you're trying to take the details of something and get it all together, it's you are there. The idea is you are over the idea. Chachma is you put your head back, you're trying to get that flash, that seed of an idea to come to you because it comes beyond you. And even in that seed, quickly you can lose that flash of the seminal point that comes to your head. You can quickly lose it when it comes into the structure of intelligence, because it is got the whole intelligence there, but it's in a seminal way, in a way that is ethereal, because it comes from beyond. So, what does this mean? It means that the divinity that God creates this Jewish soul with is a form of divinity that the connection to God is not because it gets God, because it comprehends, appreciates God beyond that. It is far and above and beyond that. It's beyond grasp, intelligence, and so on. Now, of course, every human being can understand that God is beyond us and we can't comprehend him. Yet, we're talking about the experience of the soul. The experience of the soul, its nature is that it is connected to God on God's terms, not on human terms. What does that mean exactly? Nice words. So what it means is that every Jew, no matter who they are, the most intelligent to the most illiterate, their belief in God is based on a simplistic faith in God that's beyond understanding. It's not because I understand something, therefore I understand about God, therefore I have faith in God. No, as scripture says, the fool believes everything. So in that sense, like King David says, I am foolish and ignorant in Tehillim and Psalms. I am as a beast before you, but I'm constantly with you. In other words, I approach you like a fool. Because the truth is, before God, we're all fools. So the soul experiences God in that manner as the fool. Fool here in a positive way. In other words, that's something beyond me. I don't approach you with comprehending, appreciating, and therefore connecting. I approach you in a way that is beyond comprehension, beyond me. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, there's a consequence of this. And maybe from the consequence, we'll get the idea more clearly. The consequence is that the rule is the most worthless of worthless Jewish people, worthless meaning in that they're totally removed from their Judaism. When it came to a question of sacrificing their lives for the sanctity of God's name, they would suffer harsh torture rather than deny God's unity. Why would they do it? It's not because they lived a life devoted to God. They didn't. Yet they would die for God. Why? Not because it made sense. It's because they had no other option, because they came in touch with the chachma of their soul. The chachma of the soul is that vehicle or the receptacle for the Ein Sof, that it is no other option, no other possibility but to give up your life. Again, not because I appreciate God, not because I appreciate giving up my life. On the contrary, not at all. I don't want to give up my life. But without knowledge, without reflection, absolutely impossible to renounce God without any reason or rational argument whatsoever. Now, contrast that. There are people who do live their life on self-sacrifice and have given up their lives. But because they live for something, they'll die for something. As the saying goes, if you don't have what to live for, if you don't have what to die for, then you don't have what to live for. And there's a truth to that. But that's coming for because I live for God, so therefore I'm ready to sacrifice my life for him. But that's because I lived for him. It's based on my understanding and appreciation of God, and therefore I sacrifice. So it's not a real sacrifice. It makes sense. And that's why you see, I don't want to compare to other religions, other faiths, that people will give up their lives in this world because they get it better in the next world. So it's like saying, okay, I'm going to give up my 10-year-old jalopy that's broken down for a Rolls Royce. Is that sacrifice? No. I'm getting something better in the deal. So I'm going to give up something here because I'm going to get something better over there. That's what we're talking about in the sacrifice that is not from the Jewish soul. But here we're talking about Jewish people that throughout the ages, and for those who know their history, the Jews have given up their lives throughout the ages, not because they lived for God, not because they devoted themselves to God, but because when it came to the question of, faith in their lives, they were ready to sacrifice their lives that they shouldn't denounce. Ready to sacrifice their lives because they weren't ready to denounce their Jewishness, their connection to being a Jew, their connection to God, ultimately, whether they're completely aware of that point or not. But I'm a Jew and there's no other way. That's what we're talking about. Where does that come from? It comes from some totally illogical. It comes from a faith-based. What is faith over here? It's my soul that has chachma of it, that is the receptacle for the Ein Sof, and that chachma is a receptacle for something that is beyond understanding, beyond comprehension, beyond me. It's not because of me I am doing this. It's because of something in me that's making me do this. My Jewish soul, which has that unique connection to God. I hope I explained that well, because it's a very powerful and phenomenal idea of what defines the Jewish soul. So every human being has a connection to God. I mean, every creation has a connection to God because it's a creation of God. Human being even more so. The human being's connection is not in this manner as to the Jewish soul's connection. It's not coming from I am, and therefore I understand, I appreciate, and I feel, and therefore I devote. Right? I get something, and I recognize that God is the truth, and and if I don't follow, there's a lot of negative things that can happen. If I do follow, then there's a lot of good that happens. When we see by the Jewish people, it's different. That throughout the ages, it's not just now, but throughout the ages, Jews completely, we're not connected to their faith. Yeah, but when it came to a matter of faith, which is denying their religion, denying their Jewishness, they gave up their lives, even though they didn't live for God. Why? Again, that's the point over here. The chachma of the soul, which is beyond comprehension, the source of all comprehension, the source of all intelligence, but yet it itself is way beyond and above and beyond. And it doesn't allow, when it becomes revealed, that part in the soul, it doesn't allow us to disconnect from God. It doesn't allow us to disconnect from our faith, from our Judaism, from our Jewishness. That's why born a Jew, die a Jew. How does a non-Jew then become Jewish, convert? So the truth is, there's no such thing as a non-Jew that becomes Jewish. What it means in the term of the Talmud is a Gershin is Gayer, a convert that converts. What do you mean a convert that converts? As a convert, what do you mean a non-Jew that converted? No, because someone who actually does convert, and by the way, this is very important, can only be done by Jewish law, by halacha. If it's not according to halacha, and you have to be careful for those who are interested in conversion, according to Jewish law, halacha, you need your local Orthodox rabbi for that. Make sure that it's 100%. In any case, what it means is that there was a spark of a Jewish soul in that person, and it only became into a flame. Something we're going to learn more in the next chapter. That it, through the process of conversion, it became a flame of a Jewish soul. This is what makes a Jew who they are, and defines the soul and its uniqueness. Any questions, any comments? A lot more we could speak about, but Cindy from Florida, welcome. Marta from Albuquerque, New Mexico, thank you for joining. Jan from Mexico itself, Boker Tov. Rick from the Chicago area, good morning. And Anne is with us from Brookhaven, Georgia. Thank you for joining. Linda and Niece, sisters, are together in New York. Thank you for joining. Ernie, good morning to you in Mississippi. Ashley in Texas, good morning. Anna is coming from Hungary. Thank you for joining. And Christine from New York. Good morning. Teresa, good morning to you, also in Texas. Lenush Philippines, if I remember correctly, or I don't remember. Remind me. 1 year today. Thank you, Nathan, for joining. Marty, good morning. Roxana, shalom. John from North Carolina, good morning. Erica from Norway, good afternoon. Batya and David, good morning in Austin, Texas. Monica, good evening to you in the Holy Land of Israel. And Veris from Calgary, shalom. Shaheen from New York, good morning. And Paolo from Italy, I hope I pronounced that right. Thank you for joining. Susanna from Hollywood, Florida, shalom. And Robert from the Boston area. Ita, good morning. Yes, Veris, thank you. Tefillin, don't forget it. Ahmad from, good morning to you from KSA. Not certain where that is. Let me know. Thank you, Cindy. Sandy, Winnie, good morning. Roxana from Miami, good morning. On Instagram, we have with us Elf. I can't make out the names. In essence, all souls are Jewish. I don't know. I'm not certain about that. You don't have to be Jewish to be good. That's the amazing thing about Judaism. Oh, at least one thing. All right, I can't make out. Ruva Ben Simcha from Indonesia. Thank you for joining. By the way, if your mother is Jewish, then you're 100% Jewish. If someone converted not in the halachic manner, then yes, they should. If they're observant, then they should convert. If you're not observant, and you're not going to be observant, keeping kosher, keeping Shabbos, and so on, and there's no point. Again, you can be a good non-Jew. There's nothing wrong with that. No, there's nothing wrong. God created non-Jews for a purpose. They have their purpose. Oh, you see that? Okay, that's beautiful. That's Chassidic dreams, seeing the Rebbe. All right, folks. Thank you for joining. Sharing is caring. Please share the Alter Rebbe's teachings with others. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zich in Kadesh in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have a wonderful day. And today is Rosh Chodesh, the head of the new month, the month of Shvat, the first day of the month. And it's a special time. The 10th of Shvat is the day our Rebbe became Rebbe, and the previous Rebbe passed on. So we need to make preparations for Yud Shvat, 70 years of the Rebbe's leadership. More on that to come. Have a wonderful day. Oh, and don't forget, I have 1 Minute Tanya on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube shortly, and on Facebook, on my personal Facebook. So do get the 1 minute synopsis daily. Thank you for joining.